Hello friends, good morning. So, without wasting any time, let us move with the first topic of my channel. Whenever you will study any theory in psychology, you will regularly come across a few terms. In this session today, we'll discuss about those terms which will help you to better understand the of meaning and essence of those theories. And often we ignore these terms because we want to move to the main part of the theory, but that is probably not the best thing to do. It is going to help us in the exams definitely, and in any other competitive exams, or in a clear or better understanding of the theory. So let us not forget that basics always come first, and here we go. Now, determinism versus free will. This is a very common term that you will come across, especially when you are studying Sigmund Freud, the psychoanalytic theory, and I think you will read it uh, n number of times that psychoanalytic theory is deterministic. So, what does that mean? Deterministic is defined as the absence of free will. That is, whatever we do is a result of an antecedent factor. Means there is always a cause and an effect. But this stance has been challenged, diluted, contaminated in many ways by various theorists who followed Sigmund Freud. So determinism actually can be of a number of types. First of all, we are going to discuss the types of determinism. So that is external determinism and internal determinism. Internal determinism is due to the internal factors like our genes, which Bowlby said that a child definitely needs an attachment figure. Okay, that is one example. And external determinism is due to external factors like our cultures, parents, peer influence. Like Bandura said, that children just observe others and learn from them. Sigmund Freud supported the deterministic stance, where he said that instincts or the unconscious, the past experiences determine our behavior and action. Now, next we come is hard determinism and soft determinism. Like I said, that there are some theorists who believe in hardcore determinism, that everything is determined by our past, by some factor, by past experiences, by the unconscious, or by the conflicts within us. So the hard determinists say that free will is an illusion, like the behaviorist theorist Watson. He said that everything has a cause. Watson even went to the extent of saying that give me any healthy child and I can make him what I want him to be. That is an engineer, a doctor, an actor, just a healthy child. And that is all he requires. So he was a hardcore determinist. Now we have soft determinism. Soft determinism is, a bit diluted version where the external or the internal factors makes us more vulnerable to behave in a certain way, and rather than determining our behavior. Like अगर आप गरीब हैं तो that doesn't mean कि आप चोरी करेंगे. Okay, that doesn't determine your behavior, but it makes you more vulnerable कि आप चोरी करेंगे. So that is soft determinism. Now next is determinism and free will. Now this is the opposite of determinism. Determinists say that there is no free will. It's an illusion. But those who support free will are the humanist theorists, जो हम humanist theory जब cover करेंगे तो हम उसको ज़रूर देखेंगे. जो free will को support करते हैं, they basically say that we are free from any causal influences of the past events or the instincts. We are free to make decisions irrespective of the factors within us or in the environment. And that is why we are free to create our own destiny. In fact, humanist theorists go to the extent of saying that we need to exercise our free will or our personal agency so that we can self-actualize or so that we can become fully functional. The humanist theorists say that free will doesn't mean that we just decide for ourselves. We decide as well as we accept the consequences of our action, of our decisions. So responsibility is a big part of free will or personal agency, right? So the person who is having free will feels that he is totally in control. And determinists say that since we do not have this power to exercise free will, it is always an effect. Our behavior is an effect of a causal antecedent factor. So something drives them, right? Empiricism versus rationalism. Now, what exactly is rationalism? Let us remember rationalism. The first letter of rationalism is R. And rationalism supports reason. So, according to rationalists, knowledge comes from two sources. First is the sensory experiences, and second is the a priori knowledge. A priori knowledge is like we already know something. So, rationalism believes works on three principles. First is the innate ideas. Innate ideas, we can say that they believe that we are born with some fundamental truth or experiences that come from God or from the past life that we have already lived. And reason is, that is the R I was talking about, rationalism and reason. Reason is where we use logic to determine conclusion. Third is deduction. We apply the concrete principles to draw a conclusion. Our knowledge comes from some part of intuition and innate ideas and other part of deduction. Empiricism, on the other hand, is the antonym or the opposite of empiricism. Opposite of rationalism. It says that all the knowledge that comes to us is through our sensory experiences, and we have five senses, and whatever is registered in those senses is our experience, and that is where we get our knowledge from. It totally rejects the idea of innate ideas. That hypothesis is rejected. It works according to John Locke's tabula rasa, that mind is an empty slate, empty blank slate, and it needs to be written on through our sensory experiences. Second is sensory experiences, like we have already said, and the third is induction. That is, very few things can be proven conclusively. That is, the only thing we can be certain about is our sensory experience. So basically जो हार्डकोर एम्पिरिसिस्ट होते हैं वो ये बिलीव करते हैं कि अगर कोई जंगल है और अगर वहां पे पेड़ गिरा, पेड़ गिरने पे आवाज आई, लेकिन क्योंकि वहां पे कोई प्रेजेंट ही नहीं था पेड़ गिरा देखने के लिए या फिर उस पेड़ गिरने की आवाज सुनने के लिए, सो बेसिकली आवाज नहीं आई. That's it. Okay, we go for reductionism versus holism. Now, what is reductionism? Reductionism basically means that human behavior can be explained by breaking it down into smaller components. Behavior and mental processes should be explained within the framework of basic sciences like physiology, chemistry, etc. हम लोग कह सकते हैं कि बिहेवियरिज्म जो है, जो बिहेवियरिस्ट थ्योरी है जो जॉन वॉटसन, पैवलोव और स्किनर ने दी थी, उसमें था कि बिहेवियरिज्म इज बेसिकली इट इज़ अ रिडक्शनिस्ट अप्रोच, क्योंकि वो एक बिहेवियर को इट रिड्यूसेस इट ब्रेक्स इट डाउन टू अ सेट ऑफ वेरिएबल्स, और उन सेट ऑफ वेरिएबल्स की वजह से हम आइडेंटिफाई कर पाते हैं कि इस पर्टिकुलर वेरिएबल की वजह से ये पर्टिकुलर एक्शन या बिहेवियर हुआ है. So it helps us, the reductionism helps us to establish a cause and effect relationship. Now there are various levels of reductionism. The lowest level of reductionism is physiological explanation, which explains behavior in terms of our brain structure, our genes, neurotransmitters, neurochemicals. And the highest level of our reductionism is the socio-cultural level, which shows that there's influence of environment and culture on the person. A combination of person and environment is the source of all human behavior. और इन दो levels, इन दो extreme levels के बीच में there are behavioral and cognitive explanations. जैसे cognitive theories आप पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें basically क्या करते हैं, जैसे हमने पहले explain किया कि हम लोगों को behavior और mental processes जो हैं उनको explain करना चाहिए within the framework of basic sciences. वैसे ही cognitive psychology में क्या किया गया, जो हमारी brain है, हमारा mind है, उसको उन्होंने compare किया to a computer. और जैसे कंप्यूटर में मेमोरी होती है या हम कुछ सर्च करते हैं कंप्यूटर में एंड इट रिकॉल्स, उसी प्रोसेस को फॉलो करते हुए उन्होंने कहा कि हमारी ब्रेन भी वैसे ही करती है. फर्स्ट इट एंटर्स इन अ शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी, sensory memory, then short term memory, then long term memory, and then finally we recall it. Forgetting क्यों होती है, वो सारी की सारी चीज़ें इन्होंने एक कंप्यूटर की एनालॉजी लेके समझाया है. Now next is holism. Holism is again the antonym or the opposite of reductionism. This can be just summarized in one sentence. Whole is more than the sum total of all components. Okay? और जो ह्यूमनिस्टिक व्यू है, गेस्टॉल्ट व्यू है, सोशल साइकोलॉजी है, वो बेसिकली इस होलिज्म को काफ़ी ज़्यादा सपोर्ट करते हैं. वो ये कहते हैं कि जो भी इंडिविजुअल है, अगर हम उनको स्टडी कर रहे हैं, जस्ट एन इंडिविजुअल, then we are basically ignoring a large part of that particular person. Because एक इंडिविजुअल जो भी एक्ट करता है, that is in response, in context, not in response, in context of the environment he is living in, right? So we need to study the person in his holistic context. That is, we have to study the person, the individual, in the context of society or the culture or the environment that he lives in, right? So that is it. Next is hedonism versus eudaimonism. Hedonism और eudaimonism होते हैं कि एक पर्सन जो जिस भी तरीके से बिहेव करता है वो वैसे क्यों करता है. तो इसमें सबसे पहले आता है कि hedonism क्या होता है. Hedonism basically refers to human behavior being directed by gratification of immediate pleasure or avoidance of immediate pain. तो hedonistic behaviors हम कई बार कहते हैं कि उस पर्सन का बिहेवियर काफ़ी hedonistic है. क्यों है? क्योंकि एक बच्चा है, उसे आइसक्रीम चाहिए, उसे पता है इमीडिएट प्लेजर मिलेगा, एंड ही जो है वो जिद करना शुरू करता है मुझे आइसक्रीम चाहिए, ठीक है। एज अ चाइल्ड दैट इज वेरी मच फाइन, ओके, बच्चे करते हैं, बट एज एन अडल्ट समबडी बिहेव्स लाइक दैट, इट मीन्स वो बहुत शॉर्ट टर्म में सोचते हैं, हम कहते हैं बहुत ही हीडोनिस्टिक क्रिएचर है। तो उसका एग्जैक्ट अपोजिट है यूडेमोनिज्म। यूडेमोनिज्म क्या होता है? इट इज व्हेन अ पर्सन डज नॉट जस्ट सीक प्लेजर और अवॉइडेंस ऑफ पेन, दे सीक लॉन्ग टर्म हैप्पीनेस. So it is based on the concept of moral happiness, which one can achieve only if they live in accordance with the virtues. तो hedonism में क्या होगा? हम कोई होमवर्क करते हैं क्योंकि हमें अगले दिन पनिशमेंट अवॉइड करनी है, दैट्स इट. बट अगर यूडेमोनिस्टिक होगा तो हम अपना होमवर्क करेंगे बिकॉज इट्स गोइंग टू बी गुड फॉर अस, it's going to make our concepts better, and it is going to help us in exams, and finally it is going to help us make the society a better place. That is it. Now we come to the last part, environmentalism and hereditarianism, जो जिसे हम नेचर वर्सेस नर्चर डिबेट अक्सर कहते हैं. नेचर इज हेरिडिटरी एंड नर्चर इज एनवायरमेंट. ये काफ़ी डिबेटेबल टॉपिक है अभी भी, दो डिबेट अब थोड़ा सा स्लाइटली बेंड हो रही है टूवर्ड्स एनवायरमेंटलिज्म, not exactly environmentalism but an integrated integrated version, जहाँ पे ये कहते हैं कि ना तो सिर्फ हमारे जीन्स कुछ डिसाइड करते हैं, डिटरमिन करते हैं, और ना ही सिर्फ हमारा एनवायरनमेंट कुछ डिटरमिन करता है. What determines our behavior is an interaction of these two things. और शायद उसका सबसे अच्छा एग्जांपल है हमारा जो डायथेसिस स्ट्रेस मॉडल है. हमारा जो डायथेसिस स्ट्रेस मॉडल है वो कहता है कि हमारे जो जीन्स हैं वो हमें वल्नरेबल बनाते हैं फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर थिंग या फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर डिजीज और डिसऑर्डर. हो सकता है मेरी फैमिली में जेनेटिकली हो कि शायद सबको डायबिटीज़ होगा या फिर सब ओबीज होंगे, तो yes, that can be one thing that makes me vulnerable. But if I live a healthy life, तो शायद मुझे डायबिटीज ना हो. ओके, तो वो मेरा एनवायरनमेंट डिसाइड करेगा. इट माइट मेक मी वल्नरेबल, बट एनवायरनमेंट also helps in helps not helps but environment also contributes a great deal. So the new approach that is coming is interactionist approach. So that is all for the day, and thank you. In case you all have any thing that you want to be discussed, or you want to give me any suggestions, or you have any queries, तो प्लीज़ आप मुझे मेरे ईमेल आईडी smrkdal@gmail.com पे मेल कर सकते हैं. एंड अगर आप चाहते हैं कि हम कोई ऐसा टॉपिक डिस्कस करें तो प्लीज़ ड्रॉप अ कमेंट in the comment section. Please subscribe and share this video if you like it. Thank you.